More NASCAR content? For all the latest in NASCAR, including driver interviews, race recaps, fantasy NASCAR, listener call-in shows, and awesome giveaways, tune in to the Lap Traffic Podcast on iTunes, Podbean, or your favorite hosting site with new shows every Tuesday night. Check out Lap Traffic on the web, thelaptrafficpodcast.com, and follow on Twitter at LapTrafficPC. Don't get caught chasing the lucky dog. Tune in each and every week to the Lap Traffic Podcast. See ya!
With the ButtKicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. ButtKicker. The future is feeling.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Tuesday Night Racing on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Tonight, it's the Full Send Racing Series as they're in their Xfinity cars this season for race number 2. After the spectacular finish from last week at Daytona, where William Edison found himself into victory lane, well, tonight we head to Kansas for that of the AMR Paintworks 195 to see how the drivers can tackle from moving a 1.5 mile track to a 1.5 mile course. Up here in the booth, my name is Sam Dyer. Joining me is Trevor Earhart, as well as Robert Moyer Jr. in the background running productions. Again, thank you for joining us on Tuesday night on Freaky Fast Broadcasting as we are getting prepared to go green as the drivers have about 1 minute and 45 seconds left in qualifying. Trevor, it's good to be back on Tuesday after last week's spectacular finish.
Yeah, great to be back here at Kansas. Expect more of the same from these guys this week as the practice time showed everybody to be fairly competitive, and looking at the qualifying times, pretty close between our top 3 drivers, so I'm excited to see what these guys do tonight.
1 minute and 20 seconds left here in qualifying as the drivers are getting ready. We've gotten a little bit of word of how this track's going to be running, and Trevor, before we went live discussing on how we're expecting these cars to react, again, big change compared to what we usually cover here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We've got Truck Series, we've got Next Gen Cup Series, but these Xfinity cars, it's been a car that we've been away from for a while, and haven't been to Kansas in a while as well. On top of that, got 1 minute left in qualifying, but what are you expecting to see from these drivers as Chris Chavez-Essery is on top of the board?
I expect to see these guys running the top line. The top line here at Kansas tends to be the fastest way around the racetrack. You got to watch out though, because the car can get really loose when you're up there near the wall, and also there's not a lot of room for error up there either. So I expect to see these guys running the fence, but also running into the fence at the same time.
Yeah, that fence has been the talking point of drivers on the fact of they feel comfortable. Like you said, it's the fastest place to be, but that uncertainty of, is this car going to just fall away? Am I going to get tight randomly and plow up into the wall? Or do I need to be a little bit more conservative and slow down a little bit more? As you see on screen, going to be that of the 28 of Seth Reed. And Seth Reed, driver that came second to last week's race by 0.06 of a second. He's hoping to see a little bit of a change. It's coming across the line just like how he felt last week. Coming up short to come across the line for his second lap of qualifying, but still looked quick for that 28. Was 4th on the board. Well, let's actually look at how these qualifying results went. As the drivers' qualifying is done, it's time to grid up, and getting the pole award is going to be that 32 of Chris Essery. Ken Campbell going to be in 2nd place with that of Nick Holland going to be in 3rd. Holland was one of the fastest drivers during practice. He found a little bit more speed to be up front. With that of Seth Reed in 4th. Ross Tatum going to be in 5th place. Cameron Sarton in 6th, the 2-time champion of this series. With that of Will Bustler in 7th. Andrew Medlin in 8th. Cole Sacchetti in 9th. In 10th place going to be Brendan Pierce.
Rob Shearwood's going to roll off in 11th. Daniel Keith Jr. 12th. Travis Start and Martin Perry 13th and 14th. Charles Hugel 15th, Aaron Hale 16th, Dylan Glass and Tyler Lalone 17th and 18th, KT McCann and Brian Bruchette round out the top 20.
Philip Chavez going to be in that 101 machine in 21st position with Zachary Peterson in 22nd. Sam Siegel going to be in 23rd with that of Joshua Altice going to be in 24th. Then going to have Ryan Lynch in that of 25th position. 26th going to be that of Christopher Wade with Doug Pierce in 27th. With Michael Boyd going to be in 28th. Chris Stitz going to be in 29th. 30th going to be that of Bill Dart. And coming away 31st is going to be Justin Case in the 21 machine as drivers waiting to get rolling. There's a couple of drivers that look like might be missing the start potentially here. They're hoping to get gridded up, and that's the 24 Cameron Sarton, who just gets in by the chin of his hair, just by a hair on his chin. Trevor, starting on pit road, I'd imagine not the best place to be for these drivers, but if you do miss miss the grid and start on pit road. We do have the stage break at lap 40 for these drivers, so no, wouldn't be the worst thing, but certainly not the best way you would start this race off.
No, not if your camera's starting there missing the grid. You know, you give up all that track position. You go from starting sixth to probably being about 4 or 5 seconds behind the pack once you get off pit road. So luckily for him, he made it out there. But yeah, stage break at lap 40. So if any of these guys run into any troubles early on, they have that stage break to fall back on.
And as well, drivers have been notified they should be good on fuel. Looking like the fuel window is going to be about 47 laps for these drivers. Curious on how much wiggle room they're going to have to 50 laps, as this race is going to be 130 in total. Stage break at lap 40. So they're going to have to make another pit stop after our stage break to make it to the end, but it's going to be the fun aspect of this race. Do you split that stint in half, or do you extend it a little bit further? As up front, it's going to be Chris Esri, Cameron Sarton, 2 drivers that we've seen on Thursday night perform very well. Curious on how well they're going to be running here tonight. Here for that of the Full Send Racing Series. They're running the Xfinity cars this evening, so it's going to be a lot more throttle control on how well you can get around these corners, as this is the AMR Paintworks 195. The winner, they get a free scheme from AMR Paintworks. But who can get it done? It's time to see. Pace car is in pit road into the restart zone, and we are green here tonight at Kansas.
Great start there by Esri. Ken Campbell getting a push at the top line by Seth Reed. As they head off into turn 1, Ken's going to try to run that fence and see if he can get a run on Esri going down the backstretch, but Esri using that bottom line to his advantage there coming out of turn 2.
Yeah, Esri really found that throttle, and watch out for that outside lane, because that Nick Holland in the 68 almost coming up, and here comes the 11 of Ross Tatum as well. Ken Campbell real close to that outside wall. Looked like he almost scrubbed it there for a second there, Trevor. That's off of turn number 4. It's Chris Esri leading lap number 1.
Yeah, Campbell really close to that outside wall. We're going to see a lot of that tonight with these guys running the fence, so expect to see a lot of what you would call the Darlington stripe if we were at Darlington, but I think we're going to have to rename it to the Kansas stripe here tonight with how much these guys are going to be near that fence.
As well as that inside lane, looking like some drivers a little bit loose. Saw that of the 28 wiggled in the center of the corner, backs out, and now going to be trying to run a little bit more of a center middle lane, dipping down low, similar to the way that the 11 of Ross Tatum is running right now. But the speed, our leader, that of Chris Esri, leading that out, leading up front, going to the high line through that of 3 and 4, as drivers picking and choosing how they want to run this track side by side for now for the majority of the field. But Trevor, this is going to be one of those factors of seeing some almost 3 wide. That's 24 of Cameron Sarton stuck in the middle. But how well can you conserve on these tires for that long run?
Yeah, tire saving here is going to be a big deal. And Kansas is one of the nice, one of these tracks where you can run both lines, top and bottom. Top line's going to give you a better run, obviously off the corners, but might eat up the tires a little bit more than running the bottom. But at the bottom line, it tends to be a little bit tighter. So just it comes down to driver preference. What are you more comfortable with, a tight race car or a loose race car? So it'll be interesting to see how these guys end up saving the tires later on in this run.
It really is, as we're running on board with a 38 of Brandon Pierce, who we saw got a win last Thursday for here on Freaking Fast Broadcasting, hoping that he could find a little bit more charm here tonight. Runs 8th currently for this 38 team, and looking for all types of speed. But behind him, well, we're starting to see some drivers get real frisky with one another. That's going to be Cameron Sarton in the 24, and the 12 going to be that of Andrew Medlin. And seen on screen, these drivers running a little bit different colors than usual, going with sport team themes. So we've got drivers running right in front of us. Seeing that in the white, it's the cowboy colors for that of Cameron Sarton. Then you got the Tampa Bay Lightning for the 12 of Andrew Medlin, open to find a little bit of that of Magic Charm, and a couple of other drivers changing up their schemes here. We'll see a couple of different colors out there for all these drivers.
Yeah, it's nice to see the different paint schemes, the sports paint schemes as well. So good looking cars out there. Hopefully they can keep it in one piece throughout the race and keep them looking nice and shiny.
As you see that of the 69 and that of Martin Perry, going to be seeing drivers behind him getting a little bit dicey. That of Travis Dart as well is going to be that of Zach Peterson, going to be on top of one another, as well as going to be even in front of these drivers, behind, it's going to be that of the 16 of Glass, the 4 of Hale, and here comes that of Altice trying to find himself making some moves for the 94, dipping down low on the apron. That's going to be something that we're going to be seeing a lot of, as well as we got to move back up front because there's a change for the lead, but it could be swapping right back. Here comes Essery with a run from the outside on the backstretch, diving it down low, hoping to do a little bit of a slide job move, but not clear enough. Here comes that of Nick Holland on the outside.
Yeah, Holland getting a good run there off of turn 4, going to clear Essery here down the front stretch, and Chris is going to have to fall back in line. So again, that's that top line getting that momentum versus the bottom line, as Essery's going to now move up to the top line and fall in behind Nick Holland there in the 68 machine.
And Nick Holland, a driver that we've seen perform very strongly in these Xfinity cars. No surprise that he's up front challenging. Chris Essery as well has shown some speed in these vehicles before, but it's going to be this. Ken Campbell in the 15 looked like he was struggling for a bit for himself early before as they're wrecking behind. Oh, it's a big one entering turn number 3.
I didn't quite see what happened there, but we got some drivers with some issues. But thankfully for these guys, one fast repair tonight. So, you know, if the damage is terminal, they can at least come in and get that fixed here as we take a look at the replay and see what happens. Sam?
Yeah, looks like going to be seen here. This is going to be the aftermath of seeing drivers coming in. It's going to be Michael Boyd in the 81, actually. It's going to be making contact with Philip Chavez. There it is, center of the corner. And the 81 was loose out of 2, then gets clipped, getting into other drivers as there's Brian Burchett in the 33. But the 81 just continues to drop down, collecting Doug Pierce. And that's when we see other drivers getting upset. Bill Dart and the 7, an innocent victim that thought he found a hole, wasn't there. And about 5 to about 6 drivers all involved with this, but the driver getting the worst of it, it's got to be that 7 of Bill Dart as well as the 39 of Doug Pierce.
Yeah, nowhere for those 2 drivers to go there is the 81 was trying to get it woed up, but you know, thankfully, like we touched on, they do have that fast repair. It's something you probably don't want to use this early on in the race. So if the damage isn't too bad, you can just get it fixed. But I think for Bill Dart and the 81 machine, I think they will be using that quick repair here at this caution.
And that contact just ripping the hood front bumper from the 39 of Doug Pierce as we riding on board with him. What's interesting and kind of, you know, they're unknown sometimes is required damage. It's a flag that's given to all these drivers. Doug Pierce, with even losing his front bumper and hood and practically showing his engine and thought he was going to blow the engine, never got a required damage flag, but because of how badly extent the damage was, obviously had to come into pit road, going to use a fast repair. Same going to be made for Michael Boyd and the 7 of Bill Dart. 3 fast repairs, 4, excuse me, as Brian Burchett had to use one as well for the 33. Had to be used here early on of our 31 drivers. 4 fast repairs utilized here just before we even got to lap 10.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate, but I mean, we saw it kind of in practice. These cars can get snappy loose on you out in corner exit, and that's kind of what led to that whole event. And the 81 got loose coming out of 2 and had to chase it, you know, down the backstretch. And unfortunately, if you're behind somebody that's trying to catch a loose race car like that, the closing rate's a little faster than you intend, and sometimes you have incidents like this. But thankfully for these guys, they can reset, get back out there, and then hopefully survive any more incidences and try to make something out of their night.
Pace car lights are off. We're about to get rolling here, and Nick Holland deciding to go as our leaders up front have the decision if you want to start on the inside or the outside in the 68. Deciding to go with the outside, it looks like here. You know, I'm not surprised by this call. Gives them the preferred lane to be in.
Gives him the preferred lane, and also, you know, as the leader, he has the ability to go when he wants in the restart zone. So he also has the advantage of being able to choose when he goes. So probably just a comfort choice. Just go ahead and be in the line that you want to be in, and you know, get the jump on the 32 machine and pull out to a decent gap coming out of turn 2 down the backstretch.
Nick Holland, that of Chris Essery, as well as Ken Campbell, Ross Tatum, Seth Reed, Cole Sekeni, brought that of Brandon Pierce, Andrew Medlin, Robert Sherwood, Cameron Sarton is going to be your top 10, ready to get rolling here tonight as we are at lap 11, about to be lap 12 of 130, but our stage break is at lap 40. So these drivers, it's going to be a little bit of a shootout for themselves. 29 laps to see who's going to be inside the top 10 to get those bonus points. Pace cars off, and we are back to green flag racing here for the AMR Paintworks 195. And Nick Holland already trying to dive it down low, and it's going to be single file for our front runners with everyone else trying to find that outside lane.
Big dive there by Ross Tatum into turn 1 and 2. He's going to clear Essery here coming down the backstretch. Great run by the 11 machine on that restart.
He's got even more momentum than our leader right now. Ross Tatum wants the lead, and he'll send it down into turn number 3. Not able to clear in the center of the corner, and it seems like the dive bomb into turn 3 has been a struggle point, but if he can keep it side by side, Ross Tatum's got an opportunity here into turn number 1, but gets clear as Nick Holland. Here we go, reset, try it again, as Holland leads another lap, but Tatum diving it down low, and with the aggression by the S11 to go with that deep into these corners, I'd imagine he's really putting the pressure on that front right tire.
Yeah, but he's been running that bottom line since the start of, basically since the start of the race, so he's been using that bottom line to his advantage here, but, you know, like you said, Sam, I think he might be burning that right front up with how aggressive he's being, looking for the lead. Now he falls back in line here behind the 68, and the 32 of Essery going to have a little bit of a run on him and maybe look to his outside here in turn 1.
That's so interesting to see. Ross Tatum went up, was defending that entry of the corner, and then dove it down low as we're riding on the back bumper of Nick Holland, our leader, in a sense how this 11 is working right now, and single file at the moment, and yes, Ross Tatum is doing some dive bomb moves, but they're kind of for null. They are not clearing, if anything. They're not even really truly getting to the quarter panel on the exit of the corners. It's backfiring for the 11 at this time, but we look at some of our other drivers that are on the move. We fall back to that of 16th place. That of 6th place, excuse me. That is where we find Cole Sacchetti, who's up 3 positions. Our biggest mover so far of drivers that are inside the top 10.
And he's running kind of the middle line here in 1 and 2 and kind of stacks up the 12 machine right behind him of Andrew Medlin there off the corner exit. But, you know, it's nice to see these drivers. You know, we got drivers running the wall, we got drivers running the middle line, we got drivers running the bottom. So it's nice to see everybody kind of spread out here and just kind of the good racing that Kansas puts on in these cars.
The comfortability, I'd imagine, is one of the bigger things for these drivers with all the different lanes can be utilized. Yes, you can be aggressive, run that outer lane, just rip it on the top, and you can find some good speed, but sometimes running the middle lane is a lot more of a safety hazard. Let's keep it a little bit of a safety valve, you could say, of making sure I don't put myself in that outside wall by trying to get too aggressive. Like we've seen the 15 of Ken Campbell be in these first couple of laps. He's been very close to that outside wall, and obviously he's been testing as we fall back and watch some of this battling back at 15, 16. This cluster gaggle of cars, it's a madhouse to figure out who can climb into the top 15, let alone the top 20.
Everybody diving down to the apron. Just trying to make as many moves as they can here as everybody's kind of stacked on top of one another. And back here in the pack, it seems like the bottom line's been the preferred line for these guys further on back in the pack, which is, I find, you know, vastly different than what the leaders are running. As we got one car into the wall.
Oh, that's Perry. That's going to be Martin Perry. Clips and gets into that of Christopher Wade. They slide back down, collecting even more drivers. They keep it straight. We stay green for now. Driver's going to be sliding onto the apron and going to be seeing the 6. That's Travis Dart going to be onto pit road, but because they were not on the racing line when they came to a stop, we stay green. And that's about 5 drivers that wish they had a different start there. Dart, because he came going down from the grass into pit road, got an unsafe pit entry. He'll have to come back into pit road. It's Christopher Wade and Sam Siegel. Both are going to be finding themselves getting into trouble, and both have required damage flags thrown their way. So they're going to have to come into pit road here shortly. But for Travis Dart, cleared his black flag. He is okay to continue running without any penalties to the 6.
Yeah, it's just, you know, that's what happens. You get up near that wall, you make that little mistake and get into it, and it slows you down. And when you come off the wall, if somebody's right behind you, it causes a giant stack up, and that's what led to that. But, you know, for the guys who don't have that required damage and get their penalties cleared, I think, for the unsafe pit exit, thankfully you've got that stage coming up here in about 20 laps. So if you can avoid going a lap down, you'll at least get caught back up at the stage break.
And Martin Perry, as well as Sam Siegel, looking like both drivers were so heavily damaged. They had to come into pit road. Oh, no! That of Aaron Hale, also going to be Peterson. Caught up and talked about that stage caution. Well, it's not needed. Yellow flies. And now Travis Dart going to be able to collect himself back up to the lead group. And if not involved, the 81, Michael Boyd, might be getting the lucky doggies. He'll be close, but they're going to be 3 wide here on the replay. You got that of Aaron Hale really being pinched by Zachary Peterson. We've got Stitz on the outside, biggest mover right now, and they just no space given. The 4 tried to get a little bit better of an arc into the corner and wiping out all three drivers, and you're going to see the other drivers coming into the mix because of the entry of the corner. This kind of blocked the majority of the racing line for these drivers.
Yeah, it looked like, Zachary Peterson there maybe thought Aaron Hale was going to go down on to the apron. Didn't, and Aaron didn't go all the way down there, and they just didn't give enough space when, Aaron came back up to make the corner entry. And that's what happens here at this track. You think somebody's going to go all the way down, and they don't. They run that white line, and this is what happens at three wide down the front stretch.
3 wide, and their second yellow going to be thrown on lap 20 for these drivers, as we are now inside of 20 laps into this run. Now going to have 20 left to go before this stage break is done for themselves. But some drivers up front deciding to come into pit road. Seth Reed, who was up in the 7th or 6th place, decided to come into pit road for the 28 machine.
Interesting strategy. I mean, so 3 sets of tires, I believe, is what we were told these drivers had here tonight for the race. So you're going to use one here, I'm assuming, to get the stage points at the stage break and track position. But Sam, I mean, if there's a late race caution, that might hurt you later on down the line.
Yeah, I mean, the fastest lap that these drivers have put down for a leader, at least, that of Nick Holland, it was a 31.515. That last lap before the yellow came out was looking to be for these drivers a 32.615. So that's almost a full second of advantage that you're going to get by coming into pit road and taking a set of tires. And that's exactly what this 28 just did. There's a couple of other drivers coming in for required damage or just getting manual repairs for themselves. But I think we're going to very clearly know if you took tires, you're going to be flying through this field, and the 28 is going to be back in 18th position. So that's not too far back, especially with going to be around that of 17 to 15 laps to go in this race when we go green again. That's plenty of time to really fly through this field and get yourself back up front.
Yeah, plenty of time to get back up there. You just got to be cautious of, the difference in speed that you're going to have on these fresh tires compared to these guys on the older tires. So we'll see how Seth manages to get through traffic and these other guys that are on fresh tires as well. But, a little bit worried for these guys who decided to come in and take tires. If there's a late race caution, it might come back to bite them, but it's something we'll have to wait and see later on down the line.
Yeah, I'm not completely upset about taking the tires here, though, because you have the stage break. Yes, you're only maybe going to get 20 laps into this run, but once you come into pit road, usually another set potentially of your tires. You're going to then have just one set to work with, which we're expecting just one stop after our stage break for these drivers, and they'll be good to make it to the end of this race. So a lot of mind games, and for Seth Reed thinking maybe maximizing the points the best that he can, go for stage points, then try to figure out a winning strategy with one more set after our stage break to work with, as you're most likely going to have to take tires at that point. If you don't, you're going to be in such a hole later on in this race. As drivers are pacing, Nick Collins, our leader at the moment. Let's give some thanks to some of our sponsors here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Starting things off at iRacing iFlag. iRacing iFlag, they've got a virtual flag system for you, as well as a digital pit board. They've got a multitude of different items that you could be purchasing for yourself, but my favorite has to be the digital pit board. The reasoning why gives you so much data and information to work with, such as track temperature, weather conditions outside. You can see as well how many laps of fuel you've got left, and as well, probably the most important information, your average per 5 laps of usage of fuel, meaning that you can really start to calculate, make those fuel strategy runs work for your advantage, and you can get that at iRacing iFlag. Go use our promo code FreakyFast2022 to go get yourself your digital pit board from iRacing iFlag, or go get their their best coverage and best flag system, their virtual flag system. Thank you so much to iRacing iFlag for being a main sponsor here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. As drivers up front, stacked up, ready to go, it's going to be Nick Holland, Ross Tatum, Ken Campbell, Chris Essery, Cole Sacchetti, going to be your top 5. Ready to get rolling here, as it's going to be that of 16 laps to go before our stage break, which is at lap 40 for these drivers. Nick Collins been looking strong up front, but our pole sitter, Chris Essery, has got to find a little bit of extra speed. Pace car pulls off. Drivers are getting to that Geico restart zone, and it's time to go green flag racing once again here at Kansas.
A great jump there by Nick Holland, but I'm telling you, I'm going to watch out for Ross Tatum here in the 11 machine. He's been super fast on the bottom line, these two restarts, and it looks like Nick Holland realized that. He's going to cover him off in turn 1.
Dives it down low, covering off the 11, but can he hold off that momentum? Going to be diving it into the quarter panel, and he's close enough. Ross Tatum dives it down in turn number 3, but can he get clear with the slide job move? He's not, and now has to watch the incredible run by that 68 on the outside.
Yeah, if he's not careful, Chris Essery's not too far behind him.
Oh, Cole Sacchetti got a little bit of a shove behind him. The 15 out of turn number 4 gave him a shove and made the 42 get going on that straightaway.
Sometimes you just got to give the guy in front of you a little shove, let him know that you're there. But huge push there, and that basically shot the 42 up to our top 3 here. As Ross Tatum takes another big dive into 3 and 4 to the bottom here to inside of Nick Holland. Still, just not able to get to the quarter panel there of the 68 machine.
I mean, with the different types of racing styles that we're seeing up front, the similar tactics are being thrown out behind them as these laps continue to tick away. Our leaders kind of back to the same standstill, but for 7th and 8th, this racing action we see on screen, this is where drivers really have to figure out where they want to place themselves. And for Seth Reed, talked about it back in 18th with 4 fresh tires. He is flying on the inside. The grip, you can just see it visually. So much faster, carrying about 5 to 10 miles per hour more speed than everyone else on the corners. And here he goes, moving up into top 5 is Reed.
Yeah, just looked back and saw him 3 wide down the backstretch. But I mean, he's just so much momentum there on that bottom line, just able to keep that car wound up. Even with these guys running the top, he's just got so much more grip down there as he's now looking to the inside of the 42 of Cole Sacchetti here for 4th place. Not going to be much longer, Sam, and I think he'll be up there battling for the lead. And speaking of, Ross Tatum might be able to clear Nick Holland here, and he does, coming off of turn 4.
Will clear, but for how long? At least for the 11, Ross Tatum, he'll lead this lap, but he might not be leading the next one because that 28 is there. Going to be right behind our front 2 that are still going to be picking and choosing where they want to be. And with Ross Tatum running that inside lane, looks like for Seth Reed, makes the pass for 2nd through the back stretch, and he's already going to be clear right into turn number 3. Seth Reed, 3 laps, and he's already up front leading this thing and trying to pull away.
That great strategy call there by Seth. I mean, that he is just on a move right now, but these guys on these older tires, I mean, you just got to let him go and keep fighting what you've got here, keep the track position for the stage break, and not try to run back down the 28 and burn your stuff up even more.
And I'm looking at some of these drivers and how they're running currently. One of them that's slowly marching his way forward to be that of the 96, Zachary Peterson, to stay on board with drivers up front. The 12, Andrew Medlin, that we're riding on board, trying to get any type of movement, but behind them, gonna be seeing the 96 making his climb, and then his teammate also trying to make some climbs. Currently our biggest mover in the 94, as this little cluster of drivers. Trevor, if we're going to see a wreck that could potentially put us into a little bit of a shootout to finish out this stage, it's going to be around here as we find Christopher Wade and also going to be that of the 39 going to be racing around one another.
Yeah, these guys being aggressive back here and so far keeping it clean, but you're trying to make some moves, get some track position before the end of the stage, maybe a little over aggressive, pinch somebody down a little too much. I mean, we're seeing these cars moving all over the racetrack here as they come off corner exits, so you can tell these guys are a little loose, but hanging on to it for now, Sam.
They're holding for now, and this little pod that we're seeing going to be the 95, Katie McCann, who's very much a factor during our Daytona race, last week, and now starting to see him try to be a little bit of a shepherd, holding off everyone behind him. Not going to be able to do so, as here comes Will Bustler on the inside, side by side, all 3 rows deep, almost 4 rows if you look back in further than that, as that outer lane, McCann just looks like those tires are starting to tighten up. That plowing tendency is showing in the center of the corner for the 95.
Yeah, pushed up, almost got into the wall there and checked up the whole outside line and allowed the bottom guys to get clear, but Still getting a pretty good run off the corner, so hopefully, you know, here in the 3 and 4, he can maybe change up his line a little bit, not get as tight as he was able to clear the 3 down the backstretch.
Also going to be seeing the 25. He's been wiggling on the outside, deciding to go to the lower end, but not able to find any groove. This is all battling for 16th on the back. These aren't even drivers that are battling to get into the stage top 10 for themselves. This is such good racing that we're seeing from these drivers, keeping it close, make sure that they are trying to make it to the end of the stage if possible, but drivers in this cluster do have to be careful. That of the 33 of Brian Burchett and the 39 of Doug Pierce both have already used their fast repairs, as well as Bill Dart, who's going to be just in front of these drivers. So gotta make sure that you don't get caught up in the next big mess, so you don't have to just retire from the race immediately.
Great battle in here. Just these guys are utilizing every inch of this racetrack. You got some guys running the top, you got some guys running the middle and the bottom as they try to work their way through the traffic. But it looks like I believe that's the 16 machine looking really good here on the bottom inside the 95.
Looking very good for himself as this group continues to race on. Some news up front. Nick Holland, that was looking strong, and one of our top competitors here on the older tires, has scraped the wall through that of turns 1 and 2 last lap. Now has found himself dropping back to 6th place. And following our pole sitter of Chris Essery also starting to lose some ground, but our biggest mover of the night, Zachary Peterson, I'm curious if he decided to take tires on that pit stop, because he's looking just as quick as our leader right now.
Yeah, Zachary was in that last caution. Probably did take tires there, and he's looking here to make a move on Ross Tatum coming off of 4. Gonna dive it down all the way to the apron here, and gonna get him cleared before he even gets into turn 1.
Clear, good, and he's going to be finding himself using a fast repair, and as well going to be getting some service for himself. And that was actually Zachary Peterson deciding to pit twice under our last yellow. Took tires under his first stop, then came back in. I think he forgot to use his fast repair, utilized it, and also topped off on fuel, so might be able to extend it in a lap later than the 28, but it's not really going to matter much because we are now inside of our 3 laps to go zone of our stage.
Yeah, that's all about getting the track position for the start of the next run, so great call there by the 28 and the 96 both of Seth Reed and Zachary Peterson, as they're going to have track position for the restart after the stage break.
Watch out, here he comes. It's Doug Pierce, going to be side by side with Ken Campbell, but Nick Holland running about 0.3 slower than the rest of the field up front in this lead pack. And I think that little bit of damage from scrubbing the wall might be a little bit more as they're squeezing. Whew. Doug Pierce. Luckily, Ken Campbell backed off, because that could have been dangerous in bringing out a 3rd caution of the day.
Yeah, Brandon Pierce got a little tight there on corner exit. And man, that was close, but thankfully Ken Campbell decided to back out of that one. But that looked like, Sam, we might have had a big wreck right there had Ken Campbell decided to stay in the throttles at 3 wide. Now down the backstretch, contact.
It's going to be Ken Campbell, Cameron Sarton. They're going to be wiggling, sliding, and Sarton's going to be keeping it straight. We stay green as we're coming up to the white flag of our stage break. But what a dramatic end to it as Ken Campbell continues to drop. Same for Cameron Sarton, but Sarton moves back up into our lead group. And the aggressive move by the 24 to dive it down low, and the contact between Holland and Campbell shot the 15 down, and the 24 just nowhere to go.
Yeah, I think Holland got a little loose off at turn 2, and then when you're 3 wide like that and tight on each other, just unfortunate contact there, and sends the 15 and the 24 to the back of the field.
You're going to be coming across the line. Stage break is here, as there's going to be the yellow throne, as Seth Reed staying right behind that of the 22 of Chris Stitz, excuse me, as these drivers get the yellow flag. Top 10 drivers getting those bonus points. Going to be that of Seth Reed in the 28, Zachary Peterson in the 96, the 11 of Ross Tatum, as well as Cole Sacchetti, Chris Essery, Brandon Pierce, Nick Holland, that of Joshua Altice, as well as Andrew Medlin and Will Bustler. Going to be those drivers in the top 10 getting bonus points, but missing out Ken Campbell and that of Cameron Sarton, 2 of our favorites here tonight. They're going to have a little bit harder work to go through here, Trevor, as we are in caution number 3. That's our stage break for tonight's race.
Yeah, it looks like Cameron Sarton fell all the way back to 28th and Ken Campbell 23rd. So they go from running in the top 10 pretty much the whole first stage to now all the way in the back of the pack, and probably with some damage here that they're going to have to get fixed and work their way back up through the field.
And, you know, it's got to be frustrating for that Ken Campbell and Nick Holland, mainly because they are teammates, a part of Chrome Horn Racing. So obviously not the way that they wish they could have used their Chrome Horn, but that is going to be putting them further back in the field. But pit stop's about to be underway. And for us, we're going to step aside. When we come back, it's going to be more incredible racing here for these drivers as they hit pit road. Again, it's time for us to go side by side for these drivers. The Full Send Racing Series. Tonight, it's race number 2, the AMR Paintworks 195 on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We will be back in just a few. Thank you for being here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting.
Drivers, start your engines!
4, 3, 2, 1, green screen.
No rear grip whatsoever, up sideways. Sideways everywhere. Come on, man, do what you can. The vibration in this car is the worst vibration that I've ever had, and the shifter's broken again.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Drivers have gotten done with pit stops, except for one driver that's up front. That's going to be the 81, Michael Boyd. He is going to be finding himself on that 35 old lapped, older tires than everyone else. So watch out for the 81. This could be disastrous. Already wheel spinning, dropping it down low. They're going to be finding themselves already 3 wide before we've even got to turn 1, as Boyd's trying to get out of the way, and potential black flags are going to be given out. Drivers trying to get rolling as madhouse happening right there as drivers continue to rocket ship their way, but Seth Reed with the track positioning after stage break is now going to be our leader. As thank you for joining us on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name's Sam Dyer. With me is Trevor Earhart. And Trevor, what an odd start, but man, that 28's quick up front.
Yeah, Seth Reed there was able to clear thankfully had the outside line there and was able to get clear of all that mess. But man, Sam, that could have been huge, and good job by the 81 machine there to get down and out of the way and not cause a huge stack up there on the restart.
That could have been disastrous, as Boyd's already going to be back to 22nd position in just 1 lap. He is getting out of the way quick, and that is just showing 2 seconds off the pace from our leaders. But going to be seeing how our leaders really want to attack this run. You've got some drivers that have been on the move. You got the teammates. That is Zachary Peterson as well as Joshua Altiz going to be trying to make their march. But those 2 drivers going to be inside of our top 5. And I got to say, looking quick, didn't qualify the way that they wanted, but it seems like qualifying up front might not be the biggest need at the way this track is running right now.
Yeah, these guys using the track position well there before the stage, making to get back up there. And different lines here early in this run. We're seeing a lot more guys on the bottom than we are seeing on the top. In big contrast to what we saw at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, that's right now going to be seeing how the 94 is going to be trying to push on the inside. Luckily, having his teammate help with the draft, but it wasn't enough to get by our pole setter Vassarian. At 32 machine, hoping to find a little bit more speed. Also, a driver of note that we will have to keep our eyes on is, oh boy, never mind. We got to go back up to that 3rd place position because they were 3 wide. Issues for the 96, as he's actually going to fall back, as that was not the run that Zachary Peterson needed out of turn 2, and losing now 2 positions for himself.
Yeah, I think he got a little tight there on the exit. Almost slid up into Essery. Essery's able to clear him, and then allowed his teammate Altice to get by him as well. And now he's just got to gather himself back up and hit his marks and get back up there and battle those 2.
The driver I was actually going to just talk about before that chaos happened, back in 10th place, that is Nick Holland. Extended time into pit road, decided to manually repair that 68 after getting to the outside wall. Now up to 10th currently. He's made a couple of moves forward, but obviously a lot more work needs to be done, but he's getting a great showing in front of him, as 3 drivers going to be that of Will Bustler, Pierce, and Medlin, all clustered up, trying to see who can get that 7th place position.
Yeah, Pierce diving it to the bottom, Medlin looking like he's going to run the middle line there, and they're catching the 2 in front of them, the 96 and the 42.
Well, Bustler had a decent qualifying run for himself, but the aggression starting to throw it down, and Zachary Peterson looking like the tires might be a little bit already cooked and done by the way that he's falling backwards. Looked strong in those first 2 to 3 laps on this restart. Now looking in trouble, but still side by side going to be Will Bustler and Sacchetti. Sacchetti hoping to get a good run out of this corner as he's trying to stay on the quarter panel of this 36. But Andrew Medlin continues to just linger and wait for his potential to strike here as we go driver cam mode with Andrew Medlin to see how he's focusing up here at Kansas.
Running the high line there, nice and steady wheel inputs. The car looking pretty stable for Andrew right now, as he just looks to see who's going to get the better run here between Bustler and Sacchetti, as those 2 continue to battle right in front of him.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Medlin right now stays steady. Looks like he likes that outside lane as Sacchetti gets a little loose in the center of the corner. Gave an opening for the 12. And here comes the run, as well as here comes Nick Holland, who might be giving a little bit of help to all these drivers.
Yeah, just nowhere to go, though, with that run. Those 2 were so close together, he couldn't dive it all the way to the bottom or go anywhere up top. So he's just going to have to ride in line as those 2 continue to battle hard in front of him. And you just got to be patient with it. You got to wait for your opportunity to make a move as they continue to battle side by side into turn 1.
You need to pick and choose where you want to place yourself. How an advantage can you get the driver in front of you? I mean, looking how these drivers are running, I won't be surprised if Nick Holland gets a little bit too impatient and starts to make some type of a very aggressive move for himself, because we've seen that at the 68 try some bold moves, but obviously bobbing and weaving as you see 38 riding on board with that of Andrew Medlin looking backwards, but seeing the drivers picking and choosing, it's really that of Brandon Pierce who's diving it down low as everyone else deciding, you know what, let's stay in a train, let's all stay high. But I'm liking the fact that Brandon Pierce is at least trying to dive it down low. With having a lot more drivers running the same lane, that train could accordion back to losing more speed in the center of the corner.
Yeah, if the guy in front of you makes a mistake and has to check up, I mean, if you're running right behind him, I mean, it gives you nowhere to go, and you have to check up as well, and you lose all that momentum. But looks like the top line, they're finally able to clear. It looks like Cicchetti was able to clear a Bustler there, and it allows Medlin to get by him as well.
Shriver's got to be quick on these moves, because if you're just hesitating, you'll be losing time for yourself and already the draft for the drivers in front of you. There's a good kind of a draft pocket that's happening right now between the drivers that are from 4th, 5th, and 6th back to this group that we're watching on screen. So if you're able to get clear, you can try to utilize that draft to catch up to the next driver and kind of just slinging shot your way forward the best that you can. But Will Bustler is trapped on the inside. He's going backwards. Speaking of going backwards and looking at some of the drivers back here, drivers trying to recover. You guys see that Cowboys machine? That is Cameron Sarton right in front of the Eagles of the 6 of Travis Dart. And Trevor, I would imagine those drivers should probably get away from one another as fast as possible.
Yeah, probably. You know, they might be friends, but when it comes to sports, I'm sure they don't quite get along. So hopefully that doesn't carry over into the race. But yeah, Sarton trying to recover after some unfortunate contact right before our stage break there in the 24 machines. He's going to get a look here to make a move to the inside. Not able to quite clear that machine to his outside, but still running the bottom pretty well in the 24.
Stitz in the 25, still just picking and choosing, practically using the majority of this racetrack through the corners, and that's got to be frustrating, seeing a driver just moving up and down, especially on the exit of the corners. Really don't have a spot where you feel the most comfortable. As I say that though, 25 up to the wall, and there's the opening that Dart was hoping for. A 6 able to move on by, and now it's going to be seen that of Daniel Keith Jr., Ryan Lynch. They'll set up on how to get by that of Leyland right in front of him.
Yeah, just that little bit of contact with the outside wall just slows you down so much, but good job by everybody getting around him, getting clear of that, and they continue racing down the back straightaway.
As they continue to race on, we move up just a little bit to see the 22, Chris Stitz. Stitz, a driver that was right in front of our leader before that last, before that stage caution came out. 22, now up to 13th. A great recovery for Stitz, who was back in that 28th position before that yellow flag came out.
Yeah, great job on his part, getting back up there, getting up front. Not too far in front of him, we have the 15 of Ken Campbell, who's recovered as well. He was in that same incident with the 24 as well, and he's been able to drive back up there just outside the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing a great job. Just keep that nose down, moving forward, and it's working out for himself on the way that he's just running his own race, and now finds himself just outside of the top 10. And in front of him is Will Bustler, who's been struggling, and now going to be diving it down low, trying to make some moves. Going to be Brandon Pierce, but Nick Holland now from 10th, now having a nose in 7th place, but he's side by side battling for 7th right now.
This whole group up here has been battling so hard with one another and been so close each and every lap, and it looks like Holland's going to try to make that outside line work. But it's been so equal off corner exit. And the later we've gotten into this race, it seems like the bottom line's starting to come in and be as equally as quick as the top line.
Really is. Just the more wear and tear as Holland trying to get a better arc into the corner, brushes the wall, doesn't look like it's going to be losing him too much time. Center of the corner is where we see that 98 find a little bit extra speed, was too loose out of the corner. His rear tire is getting a little bit too lit up, and now struggling to get that exit speed that he's hoping to have.
Just a little loose there. He's pushing hard to get back some of that track position that he's lost, getting that damage fixed. But you keep hitting the wall like that, Sam, you're just going to cause yourself to have more damage to fix on the next pit stop.
Yeah, more damage, and you've got drivers behind him in the splash zone and potentially being caught up in this wreck if you're not careful. And you know, you've got Ken Campbell that was involved with an earlier incident who already has used his fast repair. Then you've got it's a train of drivers who've already used their fast repair. Christopher Wade, that of Bill Dart, and then there's a pocket of that of Rob Robert Sherwood, who's hasn't used his fast repair yet, but about half the field already have lost their safety net, and with the way this group is running right now, half of them are in some dire trouble if someone finds an issue of just plowing up the track and not able to really make the turn.
Yes, don't want to see that, especially, if you've already used your quick repair, it's something you don't want to see, but with as grouped up as these guys have been, I mean, all it takes is one little mistake and we can see another 4 or 5 cars have to come down pit road for damage and possibly a fast repair.
Majority of these drivers have ran in our Thursday series, the Stars and Stripes, which will be coming up here in 2 days for these drivers. And I'm curious as well, as we're watching the battling here, going to be between that of Zachary Peterson in the 96 and the 38 of Brandon Pierce. I'm curious, it's a late diving move on that back bumper. 38 giving a scare, and Peterson at exit of the corner, he looks clean, doesn't wiggle, and it keeps them side by side. But we've seen Thursday night, the majority of these drivers run in. Late cautions usually come out during that series, as we're halfway home here tonight. That's going to be the big question of how far can these drivers go with Green Flag Racing, with kind of the aggressive moves that we're starting to see now on older tires.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I mean, if you're Zachary Peterson and Seth Reed, these guys that took tires before the stage break, you definitely don't want to see a late race caution, because I think they're on a strategy that's, might play into their hands. But if you're some of these other guys, especially further back in the pack, if you get that late race caution, it can definitely change up how your race finishes.
For those drivers that have already come into pit road and have used their tires, how much of a box are they trapped in, or do you feel like they do have some options if this race stays green with a green flag pit stop?
I mean, they'll have some options if it stays green. Obviously, you can run a little bit later into the run, or you can pit a little bit earlier. I mean, we've seen how valuable the fresh tires have been with how quickly Seth Reed was able to get to the front from 18th position and how much of a gap he got on the field. But you've got to be smart with that as well, and just hope that you don't get a caution later on down the line. But I think if it goes green, those 2 drivers are going to be in a good position.
As these drivers continue to race on by, we're halfway home and past that right now. Got to give another thanks to some more sponsors. The admin box. We've seen a couple of yellows being thrown here tonight. A couple of wrecks that could have thrown a yellow, and would have been helpful is having an admin box, a premium button box that is basically a plug, set, and go. Be the best admin or race control for your league or hosted race. Go use our promo code FFB-BOXX. That's FFB-box, 2 X's. Go get yourself a discount code at the admin box. Go get your box and be the best admin you can be, or race controller for leagues or hosted races. Thanks for being a sponsor here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. As we're seeing the battling on screen for that of 10th place, Will Bustler, Andrew Medlin, and also going to be that of Christopher Wade, as up into the top 10 and into 9th, Ken Campbell. Great run for himself. Again, a driver that was caught up with Cameron Sarton, which, speaking of Sarton, that 24 is starting to close in, as well as closing in the battle for the lead here, Trevor.
Yeah, battle for the lead. Ross Tatum there been slowly working his way back up to the back bumper of Seth Reed. Kind of fell back a little bit there on the start, maybe saving a little bit of tire for later in this run. But that 11 machine hasn't left that white line on the bottom of the track hardly at all this entire race. So he seems to be liking the bottom line.
He's really liking it. And like we talked about earlier, comfort for these drivers is the key thing. And well, for some of these drivers, they put in the testing, the time to figure out where's the best line to be to save those tires, or best line that you feel like you need to run to save your tires. As Seth Reed's been picking and choosing. He's ran the outside lane, low end, but the S11 has stuck to his guns. It's that inner lane, and Sprite must be loving the fact that he is just cruising right now. Going to be within 4/10 of our leader in that last lap. Ran just about that of 600s faster, which go at that pace, the way that we're rolling with this race, we're basically halfway through this stint for fuel and tires. Ross Tatum could easily make the pass on Seth Reed here in the next 5 to 6 laps.
Yeah, just a slight difference in line. I mean, Seth is running kind of a middle entry, then diving it down to the bottom, where Ross is just running the bottom. And I think, for Ross, it's keeping his car a little bit with a little bit more speed there than what Seth is able to carry as he keeps closing in here slowly but surely.
Now it's less than 3/10 the difference between these drivers coming across the line. Going to be seeing that at Ross Tatum trying to utilize those tires the best that he can. But, the little differences that you're talking about for these drivers, a little bit higher for Reed, which is helping on the exit speed where Tatum closes in on the entry, but the center off. It's really where Seth Reed's been finding a lot more speed. But the exit of turn 2, Ross Tatum's been looking a lot more comfortable as Seth Reed's been a lot faster on the exit of turn 4. As we drop back to the battling again for 5th place, Brendan Pierce as well as Joshua Altice going to be right on top of one another.
Yeah, those two slowly but surely making their way forward. Pierce, I think, started a little bit further back on this restart, and he's done well to drive up, here into the top 5 and bringing Altice with him.
Yeah, Altice, biggest mover of the day, up 18 positions. Third biggest mover is right behind him, his teammate Zachary Peterson, as well as Zachary Peterson going to be tied with that of Bill Dart. But it's the driver behind that is Zachary Peterson. That's going to be in 10th place where we find 53 of that of Wade, who's right in the gaggle of cars that are trying to crack into the top 10. Christopher Wade up 17 positions, and he is trying to become the biggest mover so far here tonight. Started all the way back in that 26th position. Didn't have the qualifying that he wanted. But certainly the race pace is always something that could change at these mile-and-a-half tracks that have a little bit of pack racing mixed in between.
Yeah, some guys just aren't comfortable with those single lap qualifying runs and are better on the long runs, and we're getting that. It looks like Christopher Wade here is showing that he's got the speed in the long run.
He certainly does. Right now, looking at drivers, their fast laps this go around. Fastest driver on track was that of Brandon Pierce, a 33.280 compared to our leader that's running about 0.2 slower. Look even deeper through the field. Some other fast drivers to watch out for. 15th place is that of Charles Hugel that's trying to make his charge, but he's a little bit too far back from our leader, but certainly having some good runs. As, oh boy, up front, we got to go for the lead as that of Seth Reed. He has been caught and passed right now. That of open to make finally the clearance. Ross Tatum, he is clear now going into turn number 1.
Yeah, Seth had to go all the way up to the top line there in 3 and 4, and the car just did not look comfortable for him. Almost got to the outside wall, had to check up, and that allowed Ross to get him clear. And man, I think now that Ross is clear and got this clean air, I think he might just be able to pull away from the 28 machine.
Yeah, that clean air, I mean, that's going to be the big thing for this 11. He was running down below, and I think Seth Reed might have been trying to learn from where the 11 was running, just trying to block off as much as he could with that dirty air, but this is going to be the test. These next 3 laps was the 28, just letting the 11 catch up to try to pull away potentially, and it looks like, no, those tires just not able to really hold that inside lane the way that the 11 has been having the same approach lap after lap.
Yeah, it looks like Seth might have just burned him up a little bit too much there at the start of this run, but if you're Ross, if you're Seth and you see Ross running that bottom line and you get by you like that, maybe you change up your driving line just a little bit, see if you can save a little bit of tire and something to keep in your mind for the second part of the stint once we have green flag pit stops.
Those green flag pit stops going to be in mind here in the next 10 to that of 15 laps is when we're expecting drivers to come into pit road. And these drivers right now going to be Ross Tatum, Seth Reed. Now, with the drivers and the way they're running right now, they've got to at least get to lap that of 85 to 83 to feel comfortable to make it to the end, which would put this stint and cut it in half. But I don't know if drivers would think about pitting that early. My guess, they're hoping to get to lap 90 if possible.
Yeah, get to lap 90, stretch it out, as late as you're comfortable with, or if somebody behind you comes into pit road, it'll probably, trigger the leaders to come into pit road, but you don't want to be the first car on pit road, especially if you short stop it or stop early, because you're just going to have, older tires compared to everybody else later on in the run.
And a driver that is coming into pit road now and is going to have to go into fuel saving mode, Nate Lynch, who didn't have the cleanest run for the 3, but he was further back in the field as here comes Cameron Sarton on the outside, finally going to be cracking the top 10 for himself, going with a lot more of a slower approach compared to Ken Campbell that was taking off immediately, and Cameron Sarton slowly about to make the transition between the 15 and the 24 as they both had to make the same climb back in that of 21st to 22nd position. Now into the top 10, both of them are.
Yeah, those two great recovery so far, but it looks like Cameron able to save a little bit more than the 15 machine, but all three of those guys running the top line with the 53 of Christopher Wade in between them.
Christopher Wade in between. He is, again, second biggest mover of the night. Gonna be up 18 position. Biggest mover is the 94 of Altice. And some other drivers that are having some pretty good runs further back in the field. 17th place runner Bill Dart, as well as 20th out of 18th place runner Chris Stitz. They have both been running pretty well for themselves, both up 10 plus positions for the both of them, as they both started back in that of 29th and that of 30th position.
And for Bill Dart, I mean, he had to use his quick repair, I think, on the first caution. Sam, so great job by him staying out of trouble and getting back up through the field here. Now up 16 spots is, I think, the 12 of Andrew Medlin's come down pit road.
Medlin came into pit road and almost got an unsafe pit entry with how aggressive he came into pit road. Also further back is going to be that of Tyler Leyland, who's going to be getting some service done for the 25. And that could be the start for these drivers to start trickling into pit road, as right when we enter the pit limit of when you're expected to make it to the end, seeing Medlin hit pit road. And this is a gutsy call, but like we were talking about earlier, when we saw that with Seth Reed, you can really gain a lot of time by coming into pit road and doing what we call an undercut, being one of the first drivers to come into pit road and try to gain time on other drivers that stay out a couple of more laps. As the drivers that go for what we call an overcut, they're going to push these fuel and tires for another 6 more laps.
Yeah, these guys, on the undercut, maybe hoping for a caution later on in the pit cycle to get some track position. But we'll have to see how it plays out for them, as they're, I think we got more drivers in here cycling to pit stop. Sam is starting to kick off.
That it is. Nick Holland going to be coming into pit road. That of Travis, as well as that of Brian Burchett. Travis Dart and Brian Burchett both coming into pit road to get service done. Holland's going to be creeping to his pit road, but these drivers got to slow down by a lot. When they exit that of turn 4, running that of around 150 miles per hour to 145 miles per hour. Well, they've got to drop over 100 miles per hour when they get into pit road. Pit limit, 45 miles per hour. So you've got to be close. Speaking of close, see it on screen. Cameron Sarton's there on Ken Campbell as they're battling out here for 7th place.
Yeah, they got stacked up at it too, as Sarton got a little loose, Campbell got a little loose, but now Sarton's going to dive it all the way to the bottom of that 24 machine, see if he can make this stick and get a run off the bottom line here on Ken Campbell.
As they continue to race it out, more drivers into pit road. That of KT McCann, as well as Rob Sherwood, going to be hitting pit road for themselves, leaving us with 18 drivers, that of 19 drivers that still need to come into pit road for this pit cycle. As that Justin Case and Michael Boyd both are going to have to come to pit road much later in this race for themselves. They're trying a different strategy than most, but they're both also going to be 2 laps down as that pass was made for that 7th place position. Continuing to try to pull away is Cameron Sarton, big credit. That's a great charge for himself, running pretty similar lap times to our leader of Ross Tatum, who has been Mr. Consistent so far. These last 5 to 10 laps been running almost the same exact lap times.
A great job by him, and here comes Brandon Pierce into pit road. He was running 3rd, so this Sam might cycle the leaders to start making their pit stops.
This is right around that window where I'm really liking, if you come in now, you're right in the middle of drivers that are doing an undercut and those that are maxing out their fuel and tires. But at the same time, if you're going to be staying out as long as possible, you're going to still have about 40 laps of wiggle room trying to run down drivers that you're costing time while they're staying out. But it's a math game on staying out or coming in soon for your fuel and tires. Seth Reed going to be hitting pit road now this go around for the 28 for this running driver to do so. As more drivers, Zachary Peterson came in with that of Pierce earlier. As they're getting back onto onto the racing surface, we wait for Ross Tatum, Essery. When are they going to hit pit road? As we continue to keep eyes on track, as we're coming up to lap 90. This is around the window I was thinking about. These drivers might think about coming into pit road, as here comes our leader of Ross Tatum.
You just got to be so careful getting on pit road. This pit road comes up on you quick, and Seth Reed almost had a big mistake getting on pit road in the 28 machine.
Well, he spins that pit entry, the 94. He's going to be finally getting it wiggled straight, but luckily didn't hit anything. 94 losing time and no black flag, luckily for himself.
That's just was getting ready to say that you cannot make mistakes on pit road, especially this late into the race. It's going to cost you so much time in track position, and unfortunately for Altice, just trying to get the car slowed down and spun it out.
The drivers into pit road, that of Hugel, as well as Keith Jr. and Bill Dark going to get service done for themselves. Chavez, our pole sitter, into pit road for himself as they get rolling and taking off. It's go time, and drivers did get a penalty. Seth Reed in the 28, holding penalty for himself.
Yeah, I saw him come onto pit road, and it looked pretty out of control, so I'm not sure if that was an unsafe pit exit or a speeding penalty for the 28 machine, but I mean, that's heartbreaking for Seth, running first and second pretty much all race, and now your race, unless you get a late race caution, is pretty much over.
And can confirm he did come into pit road speeding and unsafe, so just a combination of both, making him hold, and now going to be 2 laps down, could be even losing a little bit more time. And for Seth Reed, he getting out of 40 yellow to come out. He's got to make sure this race stays clean and green for now, and hopes that someone else has some major issues in front of him as more drivers trickle in. Cole Sacchetti, but it's going to be that of Cameron Sarton, Ken Campbell, Christopher Wade, Will Bustler, Aaron Hale, as well as going to be the 22, all still needing to come into pit road.
Yeah, you just got to be careful here as these guys on newer tires are coming up on you, and the closing rate, we've seen it already, 2 to 3 seconds a lap quicker on these new tires. So you got to make sure if you're coming into pit road and you've got guys on fresh tires behind you that you give a clear call out so you don't get run over from behind.
22 Chris Stitz now going to be hitting pit road with Hale and Bustler going to get service done. 3 drivers still waiting to finish up their pit stalls here as Christopher Wade, Ken Campbell, they're starting to slow down, as well as that of Sarton. This is the call, coming into pit road, waiting until the very last moment for themselves as service going to be made for these drivers. Looking like Andrew Medlin could be the driver that cycles in as our leader, or will he, as Ross Tatum is there for the 11.
Yeah, Midland pitted a couple laps earlier, but Ross Tatum right there behind him in that 11 car. Again, just nice and steady right down on the white line the whole way around the racetrack. He's looking good.
As the drivers cycling through 7-lap fresher tires go to the 11, and for Andrew Medlin, who was stuck, mired around that 7th and 8th position, trying to go, I would imagine, for a net gain type of choice here with pitting so early compared to everyone else. But for the lead, that is going to be made with Ross Tatum going to be climbing his way forward. We talked about the drivers that find that sweet middle ground. You're going to have drivers that do what we call an undercut, pitting sooner, overcut drivers that pit as late as possible. And then you got those drivers that find that sweet Goldilocks spot right in the middle. And that's where Ross Tatum found himself, because all the way mired back to that of 11 is where the 24 is for Cameron Sarton. 12, almost 13 seconds back from the 11 machine. That's a lot of time that he's got to make up here, coming up to that of 40 laps to go. Excuse me, that of 35 laps to go for these drivers.
Yeah, a lot of time there for Sarton to make up, along with Kim Campbell and those guys that pitted super late. But they're going to have 5 to 6 lap fresher tires than our leaders are. We're just going to have to see if it plays out for them and they can make up, some of that track position that they lost by staying out so late.
It's a waiting game. Time to see how fast these drivers can catch up. And for us, it's time to catch our breath as we're going to take a quick side-by-side. It will be our last one of the evening. Thank you again for joining us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. For myself, Sam Dyer, for that of Trevor Earhart, and for Robert Moyer running production in the background. Here tonight, you've been watching that of the Full Send Racing Series. It's race number 2, the AMR Paintworks 195. Winner gets their own custom paint scheme. Who's gonna get it? Time to find out as we go side by side. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to racing action here for the Full Set Racing Series. This is race number 2 of the season as these drivers are here at Kansas Speedway. Running for the AMR Paintworks 195. As up front is Ross Tatum, and he's looking in dominating form as other drivers trying to figure out how to catch up to him. Second place is Brandon Pierce. Andrew Medlin's in second. But the big issue, they're on older tires, so they're losing ground to our leader, hoping they got a big enough gap lead to hold off the drivers behind that maximize their whole last set. But maybe they gave up too much time on this run, as we are giving you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Trevor Earhart with Robert Moyer in the background, giving us all the productions. And Trevor, we were talking about it over the break. If we want to see anyone really get up to Ross, this field might need a yellow to even have a chance.
Yeah, Ross has just been so dominant in that 11 machine that I think it will take a late race yellow for anybody to have, a shot at him. But, Brandon Pierce having a great run, up 8 spots, further on down the line there in 8th. Zachary Peterson's up 14 from where he started. So great runs by some of these guys throughout the field. But, man, Sam, Ross has just been so dominant here.
He really has, as Cole Zucchetti going to be the first driver on newer tires than Ross Tatum. He's currently going to be in 5th place. He's trying to catch up to that of Chris Essery. The problem for these drivers at the moment is they gave up too much time. We talked about that, finding the sweet middle ground for these drivers. Coming into pit road, they had one stop they had to worry about after our stage break back at lap 40. They've already used their money stop. Now it's just hope that your tires you have on now are either going to keep you in the position you're in, or you can gain enough spots with the fresh rubber that you put on after staying out extra laps and giving up time, as we're seeing right here, the battling for 9th as well for that of 8th place. Right behind that is Zachary Peterson, and going to be in 8th. Certainly these drivers putting on a show. Zachary Peterson, one of our biggest movers of the day, and he's loving the fact that he's seen a teammate in front of him. Should get a little bit of assistance, but also seeing some drivers going to be trying to pick and choose the 21 just in case. Driver that's 3 laps down, going to be put 3 wide. Cameron Sorn doesn't want to be there. He was 3 wide once before, and it got him into some dangerous trouble. But Peterson backs out immediately. Doesn't want to be there. But here comes Sorn, diving it down low underneath that of Sherwood. And the reason why we're seeing this 24 running as aggressive as he is, he's got the freshest tires out there on track.
Yeah, he's got the freshest tires, and he's trying to take advantage of them here as he moves up. Now looking for 6th place here on Chris Holland, who kind of fallen back after he got into the wall there late into the first stage. Hasn't quite been able to recover in that 68 machine as Sarton goes by him here on the bottom.
And Cameron Sarton going to be 10.5 seconds off from Ross Tatum and gaining very slowly on the drivers ahead. As you see that, Robert Sherwood, 9th place. Qualified in 11th. It's been a pretty quiet night for this 2 machine. He's had a couple of scares here or there, but I think he's majoritively been trying to just stay out of trouble, which I'm not surprised. It's kind of been the way that his teammates have been as well, with that of being from the SMB Motorsports. They're seeing, Rob Sherwood, that of Peterson, as well as Altis, and Peterson, all just kind of giving themselves plenty of space with the drivers that they're around.
It's giving space, being smart here, especially this late into the run. You don't want to do anything that might hurt you from your finishing position here. But just having good runs, staying up there and being smart about it.
Staying smart, out of trouble, always seems to be the goal for a lot of these drivers. As for that, Ross Tatum, he is flying at the moment, but he's starting to slow down just a little bit. I'm curious for the 11 if he's been pushing it a little bit too hard. And we're going to keep our eyes out as we're closing in closer to 20 laps to go on if the 11 could be in trouble, as we're seeing the battling right now going to be for 3rd place. These are between the drivers with fresher tires than Ross Tatum. And for Cole Zucchetti, he's got to make this pass quickly, efficient, and make sure he does not stay side by side for long, because this is costing tires and time on the 11 that continues to pull away from this little bit of bickering.
Yeah, Cole Zucchetti on about 2.5 lap fresher tires in the 11 machine, so he's got to make this pass on Essery, who's only on about 1 lap older tires than what Zucchetti's on, and just powers by him back on the outside as the 42 got a little tight there on corner exit.
there's always those. I feel like it's a lot nicer when you got a crew chief or someone in your ear letting you know, hey, just let this driver go. They might be able to pull you along to catch up the drivers ahead. But it just seems like for that of Chris Essery, pole sitter, has a lot of speed, deciding I'm going to keep this position. And Cole Sacchetti, who's been trying to run as fast as he could, might have burnt up those tires. Now starting to falter back as they space themselves out. Some other drivers not as spaced out. Teammates back in 9th place. That of Zachary Peterson, Sherwood, Altice, as well as going to be seeing other drivers in the mix. Will Bustler and that of Travis Start all clustered up to see who can get inside of the top 10 to finish out here tonight.
Sam, this seems to be the action spot here tonight. It's been the battle for 9th through like 12th all night long. We've seen clusters of cars, and they've been racing so hard as the 2 almost gets into the outside wall on the exit of turn 2.
And for Rob Sherwood, he's got to be careful, mainly because the 2 machine has used up those tires, some of the oldest tires out there on track. As he continues to race on, he gets to see his teammates trying to keep it racy as we are in our 20 laps to go window. But you see teammates racing this hard, it gives opportunities for other drivers. Here goes Will Bustler throwing it down below, cracking the top 10. But how's the exit of the corner going to be for this 38.6? Holding steady for now as they'll still seem to be side by side as they finally clear it up on the back stretch. But you can tell Bustler wants to get more positions for himself, as some of our biggest movers of the day, that 94 and the 70, that of the 96, they have been the top dogs on gaining positions and passing other drivers, but might hit their stall out point at the current moment.
Yeah, it looks like they've used up the tires that they have on the car, just battling back here for every spot that they can get. Is that, Zachary Peterson just looks tight on corner exit. They're not able to get the drive off that his teammate and then the 36 of Bustler were getting, and that's going to make him vulnerable here to the 53.
Fresh tires and also seeing drivers just race a little bit too aggressive allows that of Christopher Wade easily bob and weave his way up to 11. The 19 lap old tires. It's the same exact stint as Will Bustler in front of him. As looking at lap times from that last lap, it's going to be Christopher Wade almost 1 whole tenth faster than the 36. But in the 36 in potential danger zone of the 53 of Christopher Wade to crack into the top 10. As drivers picking and choosing how they want to drive. You give another note of up front. Ross Tatum up for almost 4.5 seconds out of everyone else. But the battle for that of 9th place, it's on. Christopher Wade is there. Oh, Sherwood almost gets into dark.
Yeah, close call back there as these cars now on these older tires starting to get loose on corner exit. As these guys continue to push, we saw that with the right there with the 2 machine as he got loose, and right in front of him, the 36 and the 94 going at it. And Christopher Wade's closing in on both of them.
It was one big gaggle of cars. Now it's just 2 pods of 3. Duking it back and forth on who's going to have which position, as really it's the battle for that 9th place position that's the closest right now, as Dart gets moving, but Sherwood's going to fall on back. The 2 couldn't hold off, losing over 5 positions in that little bit of a scrap, as what once was some battling up front starting to get changed up. It's the 24 able to make the pass on our pole sitter. Cameron Sartin up to 4th, now only 8.5 seconds back, but the laps, they're ticking away. 15 laps to go here at the AMR Paintworks 195.
Yeah, not sure if Sartin's going to have enough time to run down the 11, but probably has enough time to run down Brandon Pierce here, who's been holding steady there in the second position on a little bit older tires than everybody around him. So good for Brandon, and Cole Sacchetti not too far in front of Cameron Sartin as well.
As well as behind for 5th place, Ken Campbell going to be able to make the move on that of Chris Essery, who's going to fall back on older tires, as 5th place position is in trouble for that of Essery, as Campbell continues to fight side by side, moving forward for these drivers. Top 10 key points to be grabbed, as really some of our top finishers from last week struggling here tonight, or not even showing up, as William that of Edison didn't show up here tonight, as Ken Campbell moving up. That bumper almost got himself spun around by climbing in front of that of the 32.
Yeah, just cut up there a little bit sooner than I think he he wanted to, cleared himself a little bit there, but thankfully they both keep it straight and able to keep going. But Sam, we almost saw that late race caution right there as these moves get more and more aggressive as these laps wind down.
Final 20 to 15 laps, always the most dangerous when we look at other leagues that we've covered here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. And here tonight, might be able to see another one as we've talked about the battling for 10th place where it's been hectic. Well, also back at 13th, Aaron Hale, one of the drivers that really stayed out. He is now trying to carve his way through this little packet of 4 drivers. Almost got into a wreck, and he'll luckily find some space, or will he? That outside wall is looking mighty close, but the 4 looking fine, and out of turn 4, he's speeding away from this pack.
Yeah, those fresher tires than the guys around him, Peterson and Dart, just able to run that top line and keep it wound up and keep the momentum and able to clear that whole little gaggle there and set sail.
Now the next driver that's going to try to get through this packet of 3 going to be the 30th machine in 15th place. Charles Hugel going to be just trying to find any type of momentum possible to get on through. But if we move up, battling for 9th place side by side, Nick Holland, who once was a threat to win here tonight at 68, now in pressure of being knocked outside of our top 10.
Yeah, Sam, I think he's gotten into the wall a couple times. I think that's just kind of upset the balance of that race car for him, and unfortunately falling back here a little bit. And Altice and Bustler look to make a move here on the bottom.
Trying to make the move, and as well for that at 68, one of our drivers that came in the soonest. He is on 35 lap. Old tires is Bustler. Well, that's not the way that you like to get out of turn number 2.
No, got a little tight there, got up into the back of Holland there. Good save by him, though, down the backstretch to keep that machine straight.
Threatening to crack into the top 10, now losing 11th place as Hale's ever just going to be trying to make that outer lane work, and most likely will. It's 36, that big old slide, that really can heat up those tires, eat away the rubber, and with 9 laps to go, you're set in stone where you're at unless somehow a late yellow comes out, and some of the closest battles on track for 7th place, side by side, is going to be there for Andrew Medlin and also Christopher Wade, drivers that have raced with one another for a couple of years now. They know each other's driving styles, but at this time and moment, they're both on similar set of tires, so I wouldn't be surprised if they keep on racing as hard as they are, and they got to be careful because they're coming up to lap traffic. Will just in case get out of the way.
Can get around the lap traffic. Andrew's on, I think, was one of the first cars to pit on that pit cycle, so he's doing a good job holding on up here with those older tires as Wade looks to his inside, but they've got to navigate the 21 machine here coming down the front straightaway.
Oh, high, go low. Where do you place yourself if you're the 21? Do you go into the apron and just slam on the brakes? Well, he'll find the middle potentially, which is going to put the squeeze on the 53 of Christopher Wade, which now gives Medlin the charge, or will the 21 come up and box him? A little bit of defensive play up to both drivers. As case, not just affecting one, but both. Hey, a little bit of equality thrown out there on track with 7 laps to go, but it's Medlin that gets the worst of it.
And that allowed Altice to make up so much time on those two, and now he's going to dive it to the inside of Medlin off of turn 4.
Well, now here we go. Let's try for round number 2. Where does Case place himself with lead lap drivers around him? 7 laps to go, and Altice making the pass on the 12. A little bit of contact into the center of into the entry of the corner. Center of the corner, though. Case is going to run low. Really climb up higher, as it looks like for Altice and Medlin. They just got to ride for now and make their decisions at this point. Entry of turn 3. A little bit nerve-wracking for some at this point of the race. Again, potentially could see that late yellow. And Trevor, this is when it gets in that questionable point, because if we get another lap, if a yellow comes out, that puts them immediately into overtime. And some of these guys use tires earlier on, and they've only it might not have an extra set, Sam. So, I mean, if we get a late race caution, we're going to see all sorts of strategy if that happens. Battle for third now going to be underway. Cole Sacchetti trying to hold off for a top 3 finish, but Cameron Sarn says, I want the best recovery that I can, splitting through traffic. It's going to be the 42, as the 24 has to linger behind and follow the tracks of that Chicago Bulls 23, of that of Daniel Keith Jr. And Jr. stays low, out of the way, but Keith Jr.'s got to keep on fighting for himself, as he's got drivers behind that he is battling for position with. But Cole Sacchetti, a little bit of a debacle with lap traffic. He's giving the 42 a little bit more space to work with four laps to go.
Yeah, he's able to get through the traffic there a little bit better than Cameron Sarton. But Sarton's got the speed. He's been running these guys down slowly but surely as these laps wind down. But does he have any tire left here to make a move on Cole Sacchetti?
Sacchetti's got to be careful because they're starting to close in on even more traffic with 4 laps to go. It's going to be that of Bill Zart, and then if they can close in on Ryan Lynch, that's going to be another driver that potentially could focus up, but, you know, in a blink of an eye, you can miss the action, and the pass for third is Cameron Sarton down below, trying to slide up. Easy clear, but here comes that momentum on the outside. Sacchetti, he needs a great launch, and that's exactly what he got out of 4. Now going to be clear down into turn number 1, and Trevor, if you're asking for a perfect corner, that's exactly what the 42 got.
Yeah, great job through 3 and 4 with a great run, but right here, struggling a little bit on corner exit out of 2, and that's allowing Sarton to get that run down the backstretch. And Sarton's not going to try the bottom here in 3 and 4. He's going to tuck right up behind 42 of Sacchetti here and see what he can do off of turn 4.
I love this call. Hey, see where the momentum is, get that speed, get the run, and now because you're even closer than last lap, you're going to have a better chance to dive bomb it or find some momentum. As that of Cole Sacchetti, he's got to be defensive, and he won't. He'll stay high, which here comes that of Cameron Sarton. Watch that momentum. He's hoping he can climb down. A little bit of a pinch for the 42. 2 laps to go, and the run's not there anymore because the 24 couldn't run up.
No, couldn't run the car all the way up that he wanted to. Had to back out of the throttle a little bit, but he's got better speed out of turn 2 than the 42 of Sacchetti there, but pretty equal in 3 and 4, and this battle's going to continue here.
Going to continue. We'll come back to that because right now we are on the freaky fast white flag, and it's Ross Tatum with a fabulous pit stop maneuver, finding the equal ground where he was able to get the perfect pit stop in and out and have the speed to pull away from everyone else. The pit strategy worked perfectly. He found the lane. It was down below, and down to turn number 4. It's Ross Tatum winning the AMR Paintworks 195 as back behind for 3rd place. It's not a battle anymore. The 24 hard in the outside wall, and he's going to lose even 4th place to Ken Campbell at the line. Oh, Cameron Sarton from a chance for a top 3 to all the way back to 5th.
Yeah, just unfortunate there for Sarton, but recovery for himself and Ken Campbell as those two, had the contact earlier on, right before the stage. So great recovery for both of them. But Ross Tatum, dominant performance in that 11 machine here tonight.
And do want to give a report, went back and saw it. Cameron Sarton did not get into the wall like I guessed for myself. He was trying to make the pass on Cole Sacchetti. Was going to try to go for an outside run, but there was a lap car in his way that he ran into. And that's why he lost so much time and got damaged. But the driver that didn't get damaged kept his nose clean, kept it practically in the same lane all night long. It's the 11, Ross Tatum winning race number 2. And congratulations, that level 11 machine. We're going to step aside. When we come back, it's the post-race conversation and show with our top 3. Cole Sacchetti, that of Brandon Pierce, and Ross Tatum in just a few. We'll see you in just a few moments, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for the Full Send Racing Series here tonight. This is race number 2 at Kansas for the AMR Paintworks 195. We got our top 3. We're going to start things off with third place finisher, that of Cole Sacchetti, to get Cole's point of view on how his race went. Cole, it's Sam and Trevor up in the booth. How are you feeling? That was a duel that we got to see between yourself and Cameron, coming away with the lead for yourself there for third. But how are you feeling after that one?
Yeah, I was seeing quite a few duels there. I was battling there with Ken earlier in the race, and I came up on him. Just want to say sorry about that. But then Chris, too. Chris Essery there on that last stint, we were battling pretty good. And I got into him on the backstretch, and he got into the wall, and I felt bad for that one, too. But yeah, it was a good time with Cam there. That's my teammate, so it's always a good time to run with him up front there.
Cole, we saw it, as the runs got later on. I mean, these cars looked like a handful out there. I mean, kind of walk us through how the cars were handling late in those runs.
Yeah, so I mean, the stint right after the stage there, I had some damage. I had 12 seconds optional, but then I hit the wall again, so I had more damage, and I was just losing time. And it was really a handful, but then I came in and did my fast repair there for that last pit stop, and she was on rails. But I learned from Brandon Pierce there mid race that the low side was a little bit better at the start. So honestly, it was all about throttle control. You kind of just had to hold half throttle through the turns and just try not to hit the wall.
I mean, Cole, it looked like a great run for yourself, coming away with third place with all the action out there on track. Congratulations on that. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
All right, sounds good. Just want to shout you guys out in the booth. Always do a good job, phenomenal job up there. Want to shout out my boys at Hack Team Racing, always providing the good strategy and stuff for us. And then to all my friends and family that watch every week, just want to give a big shout out to them. Probably wouldn't be here without them. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And shout out to Travis for putting this league on. He does a really good job every week with this. So.
That is going to be the 42 of Cole Sacchetti. Cole, congratulations on this third place finish and good luck at Dover next week.
Thanks.
As we go from third place, we go to second, where we find that of Brandon Pierce, who came away with a very solid run for himself, one of the bigger movers up in our top 10. Brandon and Sam and Trevor up in the booth, coming away with second place finish. But man, it seemed like a lot of your battling and being around a lot of these drivers was during the beginning and middle of this race. But man, how was it there at the end?
First off, I just want to issue an apology to Michael Boyd Jr. I made some boneheaded comments at the earlier in the race, and there ain't no place for that out here. We're all just here to have fun and enjoy our time together. So my sincere apologies on that. But yeah, early on it was kind of leading up to green flag pit stops, and after that, everybody was spread out. You just ran your own race, kept your own pace, kept the tires under you, and that was that. Didn't really have anything for Ross. He had a great run, got on and off pit road a lot better than I did, so he was able to come out in front with fresh tires and walk away and just cruise to the victory.
I mean, Brandon, nice quiet run, started 10th up to second. I mean, give you a little bit of momentum here, with the top 2 finish going into next week, going into Dover.
Yeah, it's always good early in the season to start, placing up at the top, start building up those points. Makes the end of the season a little bit less stressful, so definitely going to be looking to continue that at Dover. It's another track with tire wear. If you can save your tires, you're going to be there at the end. So I think it plays to my strengths as a driver, so looking forward to it.
Brandon, it was a solid run here tonight, second place. We hope for good luck towards Dover next week. But before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Just want to thank Jeffrey Souza for being on the box. Always calls great races. Triad Racing Enterprises, Souza Media, Stint Analyzer, always great sponsors of mine. Admins in this league, and you guys for broadcasting. Let us do what we do. And again, apologies to Michael for my comments.
That's going to be Brandon Pierce and the 38, going to finish second place here tonight. And good luck heading into Dover next week.
Thank you.
As we go from second place, we go to victory lane where we find the 11 of Ross Tatum coming away with this one. And with his win, he also gets a free paint scheme from AMR Paintworks. Congratulations, Ross. It's Sam and Trevor up in the booth. How you feeling after that one, though?
Man, that one feels good, man. I haven't won a race in a while. It's been probably 6 or 7 months, so it felt good to go out there and win. And once Sam or Seth messed up, gave me an opportunity just to ride around there, so I got to enjoy it.
Ross, we watched you all race run the bottom while other guys were running the top. Was it just your preference, or was there a reason for you sticking to the bottom the whole race?
Yeah, honestly, last year I started doing that at Kansas to stay out of the wall the first half of the race because top line is so good at Kansas. But what I found out is that the bottom line is just a lot better on your tires for whatever reason, and you can carry a lot of momentum through the center of the corner. And so I did that all race, and it just works there. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's an iRacing thing where low line just saves tires better than the high line does.
It was incredible to watch there, Ross, on how you were attacking this course and to get yourself into victory lane. Before we let you go, though, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Appreciate it, guys. Got to thank Coca-Cola for paying my bills and give me a good life with great internet of 10 megabytes per second. And I gotta thank my teammates, KT, Will, and Chris. They all did good tonight. Will had a little bit of bad luck, so did KT. Gotta thank Will for making my paint schemes. He makes some of the best paint schemes on iRacing. Everyone should hit him up. I gotta thank Full Sin and the league admins. They do an awesome job with this league. I recommend it to anyone who's looking for a league to race. I got to thank AMR Paintworks for coming on board and sponsoring this race. And I got to thank you guys for putting on the best broadcast on iRacing. Anybody needing broadcasters, need to come get these guys. But appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, Ross. It helps when you guys put on a great show for us to cover. That is for sure. As that is your winner here tonight in the 11 machine, Ross Tatum finding himself the winner of the AMR Paintworks 195, as well as getting himself an AMR Paintworks paint scheme. Congratulations on that, Ross, and for the win, and good luck heading into Dover next week.
Thank you.
As we go from victory lane, we take a little bit of a look here at the unofficial results for these drivers. Now, told the drivers good luck at Dover, and as for those drivers, good luck for themselves. For us up in the booth, though, we will not be able to cover that race for ourselves, as Freaky Fast Broadcast is going to go on a little bit of vacation from that of October 8th to the 14th. But we'll be back in 2 weeks for that of the Roval. As we see our drivers on where they lied, it's going to be Ross Tatum taking the victory, with Brandon Pierce in second, Cole Sacchetti in third, Ken Campbell stealing away fourth place from that of Cameron Starton in fifth, with Chris Essery in sixth, with that of Christopher Wade in seventh. Altice going to be in that of eighth place, with Hale in ninth, and Andrew Medlin finishing out our top 10. But Trevor, I got to say, a lot of these drivers, I think some of them upset on where they finished.
As you look at Nick Holland down there in 11th, he was fast all night long with a couple of issues. It's going to end up in 11th, and then further on down in 20th is Seth Reed. I mean, the mistake on pit road, he was right up there with Ross that second half of the race. He's going to be down there in 20th. So not the runs that those guys had based off the speed that they showed at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, it wasn't the speed they were hoping for, but certainly was got some drivers that had some good runs on top of that. But tonight here, the MRC Paintworks 195. What a race it was. It really came down to strategies when they came to pit road, and it was Ross Tatum that made it work at the end of the day. Trevor, before we get to closing out this call, any final words you have for tonight and the future races to come?
Great run by these guys here tonight. Great strategy there on the 11's part there of Ross Tatum to get the win. Looking forward to where we're going to be. I believe we're going to be at the Roval is going to be the next race that we do for these guys, as we'll be off next week for the Dover, but coming back to a road course, which should be could always mix things up and be exciting. Sam?
Yeah, that Roval is going to be in 2 weeks when we come back to coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for the Full Send Racing Series. Again, we are taking a break for ourselves. We've been very busy here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, so a break is needed, but we will be back for that of the Roval in 2 weeks. But for tonight, congratulations to the 11 of Ross Tatum. But our vacation doesn't start just yet here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We got a couple of more races still to go. Starting things off next, going to be tomorrow. That is the Wicked Racing League for themselves, as those drivers going to head to Michigan. Then Thursday night, Stars and Stripes. If you like the driving styles of majority of these drivers in this series, well, the majority of them are racing on Thursday night, but that's in the next gen cars at Kentucky. Then we get Friday off. Saturday, it's the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series. They'll be right here at Kansas for themselves. And then Sunday, it's the 802 Next Gen Cup Series at Richmond. Some short track racing action. And then we're off for a week at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Back to giving you coverage on that of the 15th of October. But for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we'll be back covering this full send series on the 16th. Trevor, a break's coming. How are you feeling about getting a little bit of a break ourselves?
A little bit of breather is going to be nice, but I'm going to be excited to get back into it and see what kind of shows that these guys put on for us in 2 weeks.
I'm excited for it for myself as well. Going to be nice to get a little bit of a breather, get our voices back, get ourselves situated. But man, tonight, it was based off of strategy. Last week, it was based off of luck. But tonight, Ross Tatum got it done. But in 2 weeks, we come back to Charlotte. Not for the oval, it's the Roval. Turning right, left, with a little bit of verticality mixed in between. It's going to be a blast to watch, and we can't wait to see you. 2 weeks, August 16th, Freaky Fast Broadcasting is back to covering the full send racing series. But if we don't see you then, hopefully we'll see you for the rest of this week. Tomorrow again, it's Wicked Racing, and hopefully we'll see you at that point. But for tonight, have a good one. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Trevor Earhart and Robert Moyer, thank you for watching Freaky Fast Broadcasting, and we'll see you on the next one.